What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 1068 of Flow Wrestling Radio Live. I'm the host, Ethan Miles. Joined today, just three of us. That's all we need for today. To my left, James Dean Rader, going denim on denim.
That's one denim.
He's bold. Okay, I guess it's not technically denim. It's denim imposter with the shorts.
It's just blue.
Yeah, but they you know what they wanted to be. They're like, yeah, get away. We won't have to use the denim material, but we'll give that the aesthetic. And to the left, in a vest, no doubt that's truly a vest, David Bray. David is less than 24 hours from your departure towards Greensboro, North Carolina. Are you excited for Super 32 week?
I can't wait. I mean, Super 32 is going to be incredible. And not to brag, but JD and I, we got an Airbnb with a rather luxurious massage chair and a hot tub.
Oh, wow.
And a pool. And a pool, though it's,
How romantic.
Yeah, and it's not just JD and I. We also got Connor in the mix. And
Oh, wow.
And so it's going to be that plus the best, deepest high school tournament in the country. It's quite the combo.
Going to be absolutely incredible. So, all right, today, here's what we're getting into. Of course, we're going to talk about Super 32. We have our final tier, 285 is going to be coming at you. Going to talk about Missouri Tigers. Maybe a little NIL or NLI talk in the end of it. Not that it really seems like it's a kind of a nothing burger, but we'll talk about it anyways. And David Taylor interview hit the internet, which I'm not yet subscribed to the Stillwater Frontier Rotary Club YouTube page, but now I am.
There's still time.
Well, yeah, there's still time. We'll hop on board there. So we got a lot to get into. JD, why don't you take us through the opening round where we're going to get started?
We're going to start with heavyweight tiers.
Heavyweight Nation.
Heavyweight Nation. This one was tough for me. I could maybe be talked into a couple of different ways to splice these up. But here's what I went with. Tier 1, Island. Greg Kirkfleet.
Wow.
I know.
Bold.
He had a 1-0 match with a one-man in Tier 2, but undefeated NCAA champion. Tier 2, Hendrickson, Feldman, Bastida, and Colton Schultz.
Okay, I feel that.
Tier 3, Big Slav, Gadali Ali, Nathan Taylor, Isaac Trumbull, Josh Heinzman, Ben Keeter, Dayton Pitzer.
Okay. So the real question is Greg Kirkfleet truly that far removed from his peers? I think an undefeated national champion, it's fair.
And if there was a clear contender from Tier 2 that had separated himself, you just spilled water all over yourself.
I did. Not on myself, on my chair.
The camera didn't catch it. You're lucky.
Yeah.
But, if Hendrickson, Feldman, Bastida, or Schultz had really separated themselves from the field, then maybe you could include them in that Tier 1. But, when Feldman he peaked at the right time, showed a lot of progress, and we think he's going to be even better this year. But, had a rough kind of freshman year.
Yeah.
He had a freshman year. Schultz hasn't been the same guy he was since 2021. Bastida looked like he could maybe be that guy until he kind of fell apart at NCAAs. So, Kirkfleet, you ran the gauntlet, national champion, you get your Island. And
basically, it's against the exact same field from last year. You throw in Ben Keeter, and he's really good.
Beat Keeter.
Yeah, of course.
So,
but I'm saying my point is that there's not a lot of newcomers that you could say that they're going to, or no one's entering the weight like, and Levi Haynes is going up to 174. For Greg, I think it's fair. For me, it's Bastida, right? Like, what was that NCAAs? Was it really just a pinky injury or a finger injury that derailed? It
was a combination of
an amazing season. He had an amazing year, and we were talking like, this is the one guy that can beat Greg, and then he DNPs, losing to Yaroslav Slavikuski. It's like, man, did everything I just see with Younger, was that not like he beat Lucas Davison, right? He beat Wyatt.
Yes, he
right?
did. Majored Feldman.
Beat Feldman. And that was early year Feldman where he was taking quite a few L's. But, yeah, to me, if Younger didn't fall off the way he did at NCAAs, I really feel like that's still a match. And I think with heavyweight, there's just not enough separation for me to think Greg is that far removed, but his results are so much better that, man, I'm kind of with it. But I feel like this is a really dangerous second tier. I feel like guys like Feldman was, finishing a single leg away from beating Greg in all likelihood. There's 20 seconds left. He's in deep on the single, nearly finishes, doesn't, and then he loses. Younger, I think, has the size and overall skill, athleticism that can actually challenge Greg. So I don't know. I feel like I like tier 2, but I feel like Greg could be right there, or those guys could be right there in the mix with Greg. Like I wouldn't be stunned if one of those guys picked Greg off at some point this year. I wouldn't. And a year of health for Wyatt. Is he healthy? And a different room. And it's weird to say this about Wyatt because he was awesome, right? But he is going to Oklahoma State now. The level of partners are just better than what he's going to have at Air Force. Air Force did an amazing job with Wyatt every step of the way. But now it's undeniable that room is going to be more challenging for him. And what kind of benefit is that going to have for Wyatt, right?
David said he was working out with him. That's part of what inspired him to come back.
Yeah, and we're going to get into all of that for sure. So I don't know. I feel like Wyatt a couple of years ago gave Greg a really tough match, and then we saw what happened at the All-Star, and they didn't wrestle again. Was Wyatt fully healthy? I don't know, man. So something has me think this could be a really competitive heavyweight class. At the end of it all, is Greg going to win? He's going to be my pick, I'm sure, but I feel like there's a couple guys. I feel like there's 3 guys that I think are really scary matchups for Greg. Wyatt, Feldman, and Bastida.
So that's where I had trouble too. Is Schultz tier 2 or is he tier 3? It felt weird to put him in tier 3.
I feel you on that. I think he's probably tier 2 just for I think he was dealing with a lot of stuff last year as well. And is he going to be fully healthy? He's maybe someone that could enter that conversation against Greg, but I don't know. His results kind of, I think he's fine in tier 2 a bit on respect of what the guys he's beaten in his career. He's beaten a lot of really good guys. He's a guy with a win over Mason Paris. I think he's beaten Davison in the past, who was in the finals. So I think it's fair. But, he lost to Bastida last year. He lost to a bunch of those guys. So I don't know. I think it's fair. Haven't been 2.
I just feel like he hasn't been the best version of himself since 2022. Was that the year he made the finals?
Yeah.
But if he can unlock that version of himself, then I think he's for sure tier 2.
Yeah. What do you think, David?
I do think this is going to be a year where the question of who can improve over last year is going to be big. Feldman, this is his 3rd year in college, but his first year was in a hospital bed for a lot of it. He wasn't really wrestling for that much of the year. And then when you got to see like the full season, like the drastic improvement that he made over 1 year. If he's still on that trajectory, he's absolutely a threat. The cool thing is we're not going to have to wait long to find out where he stacks up against Kirkfleet, because we're going to see that at the All-Star Classic in like a month, which is awesome. But Hendrickson, the reason I think he may have the ability to make these big improvements is you look at how he wrestles, and he scores so many bonus points. He kills people. Mm-hmm. So he's always had that ability to score, but the thing that he hasn't been forced to do a lot is eliminate mistakes. And that's the thing that the Oklahoma State room is going to offer him that he maybe didn't have to the same degree before. David Taylor's attacking you. You're going to have to figure out how to defend. You're going to have to figure out how to eliminate mistakes. You can't just take an errant shot. You're going to get run behind. And that's the type of thing he's got to shore up if he's going to be an NCAA finalist or, win it. So I think that's what he has, and that's what he needs is to eliminate mistakes. So that's where I think there's a huge opportunity for Hendrickson to improve is not like he already knows how to score a ton and he knows how to wrestle at a high pace, but now take those mistakes out of the mix. He could be right there.
Yeah, 100%. Totally agree.
Any of these tier 3 guys you think could hop up into tier 2?
Ben Keeter, Isaac Trumbull for sure was the name. I think you could have put him tier 2 and I wouldn't have complained. I think he's got to have a big year. He'll beat some of these guys in tier 2.
You think?
Trumbull. Yeah, I do. I really do. I'll be surprised if by the end of the year I'm not saying he'll beat them all, but he'll pick one of them off at some point this season. Would be my prediction. I think his style is going to translate really well. He's going to be plenty big for heavyweight. I'm excited to watch Isaac Trumbull this year. I think he's really good.
It's a fun group, Tier 3, because like Tegadali, Dayton Pitzer, those are guys that even though maybe they won't have a Tier 2 season, you don't really want to see them at NCAAs if you're Colton Schultz or, if you're Younger Bastida and not on your best day. Like those guys are high-level athletes, especially Gadali. His pace is crazy. I think it's a fun group, but I don't know that any of them belong in Tier 2.
Yeah, I could see Keeter getting there, obviously.
Yeah.
Full-time training,
he could get there
wrestling.
for sure.
Yeah. So that wouldn't surprise me to see he or whoever I previously mentioned.
Trumbull.
Yeah. Whoever it was I said is who I reset.
He roams.
That's true.
Yeah.
Anybody that makes the Olympic trials finals is probably
Probably you should
not too bad.
Probably should consider them. Anyone who beats Jaden Cox.
Is Trumbull is he the tallest guy in this entire weight class still? Maybe I don't know. He's coming up.
Greg's pretty tall.
He's big.
Yeah.
Yeah, Greg's big boy. Yeah, we'll see. We'll have him. We'll measure him.
Let's do that.
You have to weigh in, but you have to height in as well. People don't know that.
Need reach too.
Yeah, and of course, you have the obligatory Gable,
ACT score.
the obligatory Gable Steveson mention.
Yep.
Of course, if he does have eligibility, as he claims to have, he could wrestle at the NCAA season.
He was training with John Jones
And Gordon Ryan. It's some great mentorship.
Yep. Just on and off the mat.
Yeah, more on the mat, hopefully. But yeah, I did see that. I thought he was trying to make the Ravens. So if you're trying to make the Ravens, I think football makes more sense than MMA. But trying to understand what he's doing is, I think it's hard to do. But if he comes back to wrestling, that'd be great. But I'm not holding my breath.
John Jones said, future UFC heavyweight champ, mark my words.
About Gable? Mm-hmm. So why didn't he just do MMA then?
Maybe he is. I don't know.
That's what I've been saying. That's what always made the most sense to me. Like, you don't want to wrestle anymore. I understand. You don't want to wrestle. So go do MMA. Like, that's what makes sense. That's where your skills seem like they're going to translate the best. Football, you've never played football. Like, WWE, are you a thespian? These are the questions that are asked. But like MMA, okay.
Shots fired at all WWE.
That's no shots.
Athletes.
They're thespians.
That's a good skill set to have too.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I would love to be a thespian. In another life, maybe I would have been. But that's the main skill set is showmanship and acting. And like, I don't know, maybe he's a good actor, but it's not as known. Football, we've never seen that. MMA, okay, taking people down and punching them. I can see that connection. I can see that translating very well. So I hope that, I would love to see him take that path. I'd love to be cheering for Gable Steveson in MMA.
The one tier 3 question I have. So you got Pitzer in there. Mm-hmm. Pitzer seems like he may, open the door to some other guys who have had good wins, like Big Cat, Hunter Kaka, maybe Luke Luffman. He's got Trent Hilger wins. He's
Luffman, Tuffman.
Heinzelman opens it up for a lot of people.
Yeah, so that's what I wondered is why not why no Corey
Grease,
Day's
he's
13th.
pretty good too.
Who is
Garrett Grease.
Yep. So there are quite a few guys that I wonder
Grand
about
Island Zone.
close to that level.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like these are the more locks to be in there. Maybe Heinzelman. I feel like Heinzelman's got a pretty high ceiling, and he might drop a couple of those 20 plus ranked matches. But I feel like those guys that you just mentioned are going to drop multiple this season, whereas all the guys in this tier might drop one or two 20 plus ranked matches.
Mm-hmm. Plus, I guess Pitzer has that Schultz win. What's Heinzelman's best win? I don't know.
He actually really only lost to his worst loss last year was to Doucette.
Okay.
Everyone else is like Wyatt. He lost to Elam 100 times. Bastida. Everyone he lost to was good.
Remember when Heinzelman took a match from Wyatt Hendrickson in the U23 best of 3 finals? That was crazy.
How did that happen?
Well, Wyatt was still just coming into his own at that point.
That was probably when Ben Askren was guaranteeing he was going to All-American. And then he had to get tased.
And Miss Taser bet.
You know what's funny is, when we start the show now, before we start it, the producer always say hot mic. And now, so every time, I don't know if you guys know this, probably not, but we maybe talked about it. Every time the producer would say hot mic, you're right, mics are hot, so like don't talk basically. Ben would compulsively say hot mic. And always like he would have to, like the child in him would not allow him to be like, just because you said the mics were hot, he has to now talk. And so now every time the producers say it, it's like it's been transferred to me. And I don't do it, but inside of me, there are two wolves.
You're like a Pavlov dog.
And one of them is saying, you should say hot mic right now. And I resist it. But one of these days, I think the inner Ben in me is going to just say hot mic just compulsively. And that'll be my tribute to Ben.
You go full bad boy.
Yeah.
Start talking on hot mics.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to talk about any other thoughts on heavyweight? Before I'd like to go to Super 32 after that, if so.
Oh, let's get to Super 32.
I want to kick it to David because David, I mean, you're the Super 32 man of the three of us. Give us the rundown. What should fans be so excited about? Because it's a high school tournament. Our fans are mostly into the D1 stuff. So tell us about why we should be excited for Super 32.
Well, first, before we get into like the storylines, if you haven't watched Super 32, you got to kind of understand the format, okay? Because it's a unique viewing experience. So Saturday, you're going to have these brackets starting in the round of 256, and then progressing from there. And they're going to go through the round of 16. Okay, so quarter, semis, finals, those are all Sunday. So what you got to be ready for is set your arena alerts, get them ready to go for the guys that you want to watch, because you're going to see upsets. You're going to see crazy stuff happen. You're going to see unranked guys you've never heard of that go on deep runs on day one, and it's going to be chaos. But then Sunday, this is when it all gets crazy. 8 a.m. Eastern time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. You've got quarterfinals of the most important high school tournament in the country. One of the most. It's way up there, if not number one. And it goes quarters and semis, boom, back to back. And then finals are a couple hours later at like 2:30 in the afternoon.
When I have a dentist appointment.
Oh, dang it.
And did you also mention how it's split up on Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday is split up. So you've got like the lighter weights in the morning and then the upper weights in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's like you go from round of 256 through the round of 16 in a period of like 5 or 6 hours. It's pretty nuts. So
then they get all those baby boy lightweights out and bring in the big boys.
Yeah.
Yep. And yeah, so I don't know what time it is, like 1, 2, 3, and then you're playing with the big boys. So, but Sunday is crazy. Sunday is nuts. That's the thing, is like you're not going to know who's in the finals until a couple hours before. So you got to be locked in, and it will be worth it. Trust me, because every single weight, I think all the weights but one have like over 8 nationally ranked guys in them. So by the time we get to the quarters, it's just ranked on ranked, matchup after matchup. So that's what you got to know. But the biggest storyline of all, it's the trilogy. It's Bassett Zepeda Part 3. And Daniel Zepeda, I mean, this guy he seriously believes he's going to win. In the last week and a half, he has not only been training hard with the partners he has, which are incredible partners to begin with in Gilroy, but also has been working out with some other really tough wrestlers from California. They brought in Sergio Vega from Arizona to train, and Zepeda told me that's been like super helpful for him to get those feels. He even brought in a couple guys that are in his bracket. Nikkei Zinkin in the bracket with him from California. He's a state champ last year. Joe Toscano from California, been training with him. So Zepeda pulling out all the stops, and obviously Bo Bassett, who he trains with and how he trains. He's not going to stop machine gun mindsetting just because he got the win over Zepeda, who's number one. So that's the number one storyline. And I guess probably the biggest question before that match is, are there any 144 pounders that can prevent it from happening? So I don't know. What do you guys think about the trilogy?
I mean, I love it. I'm giving Daniel a shot 100%. I think he's got a great shot at winning this or making back to the finals. And I think, if he wrestles Bo again, I think it's going to look different. Both matches have looked really different. I think it'll look different this time. It's kind of on him to make the adjustments. He's really confident that he knows what adjustments to make. He really felt like the end of the match was trending his way, and that he felt he wore out Bo Bassett, which is kind of, Not many people do that to Bo, and whether it's true or not is irrelevant to the fact that Daniel believes it.
I think it is true. I think it happened in both matches.
Yeah.
Bo wrestles different in the third period. Obviously, it's just physically not possible to sustain Bo Bassett's pace for 6 to 7 minutes. His starting pace. I don't care how good a shape you're in. It's just physically not possible.
Yeah, you can't. That's why you can't sprint the mile. I know he says sprint the mile, but you cannot physically sprint the mile.
You know what Parker Keckeisen was talking about on the Bader show? He said like he was trained to go like 100% for 7 minutes, and one of the things that he said he learned in like bike sprints was if like when he tries to do that, like tries to go 100% for 7 minutes, he gets like actually less out of himself than if he goes 95% for 7 minutes, where he's like just a notch below 100, but it just like I don't know, leaves the door open. So that's interesting. But you know, when he says sprint the mile, I think it's, you know, probably more of a mindset than
more metaphorical.
Yeah. But JD, you did a video. You kind of broke it down. Do you see the adjustments for Zepeda to make on the way back?
Yeah. So the video I made was the 4 adjustments Bo Bassett made to go from getting pinned to then almost majoring Zepeda, and he was never underneath Zepeda in round 2, not once. Or if he was, he got up quick. He never got taken down until the very end. And then Zepeda, you know, had to cut. He couldn't actually ride him. Round 1, Zepeda had a minute 40 something of riding time when he pinned Bo. Round 2, Bo Bassett had almost 2 minutes of riding time. The second one was when he got to like tricep control. In the third period of match 1, he was tired. He got lazy, shot high crotch, easy go behind for Zepeda, but he stuck with his fake snap in round 2. And then he never snapped in match 2 Zepeda into his legs, which he did multiple times in match 1. And part of that too was Zepeda being able to time the snap, and get to his shot. So if Zepeda can get back to that's, you know, the adjustment he needs to make, because Bo is gonna fake and go for his snap. That's his go-to attack. It's gonna happen, but you can't let him get to that angle that he likes to get to right away. You gotta get your stop sign up, try and get to a leg when he does that, or stay on your feet. And Zepeda won the prolonged scrambles in match 1. So for Bo, you want to finish quick. If you're Zepeda, you're all right, you know, if Bo gets to your legs, as long as he doesn't finish quick. Match 2, Bo went to that quick kind of run the pipe, finish, sat Zepeda down quick, didn't allow a scramble to happen. If Zepeda can, you know, prolong these scrambles, wear Bo out a little bit more, that's the path to success for Zepeda. You know, win a scramble, get on top, pick up riding time, wear Bo down, not allow him to start feeling himself on his feet.
He needs to get to that single, because clearly when he can get in there, he finished out of the back door in match 1 and match 2, same thing. So that's the key. You know, he wasn't able to get to legs consistently in match 2. And if he can get back into legs, it's you know, I think he does have that finishing, scrambling, maybe even advantage against Bo, which is maybe crazy to say, but for his perspective, I'm pretty sure that's what he feels. So that's going to be a great match. I do think it's probably going to happen. Dorian Oliveras looms.
I'm glad you brought up Dorian, because he was a guy last year that came into Super 32 with some hype because he had won the ADCC trials, and that's like, you know, legendary no-gi grappling event. And I mean, this guy, he's a high schooler, but he competes like a man. He kind of looks like a man. He's a beast. But last year he went to Super 32, didn't place. And right now, I mean, it sounds like his plan is full-time jiu-jitsu going forward. Will Oliveras have like the type of tournament that will make D1 wrestling enough of a, you know, give that enough appeal? Will college coaches be offering him like enough if he performs really well there? I think that's going to be a big question. And it maybe means he knocks off Zepeda in the semis, or maybe he beats, you know, wins it. I don't know. That's probably not the expectation for him. But if this guy finishes top 5 or something, I don't know. Will he think about wrestling in college? I hope he does, but right now it doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, I hope so, but I feel like, the pool of grappling is going to be a little more lucrative for him. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I saw the perfect celebration for Bo Bassett this weekend in college football.
Okay.
It'll never happen. But did y'all see this South Carolina player just tackle somebody and unload the clip on him?
Everyone's shooting. I saw a compilation of everyone's just shooting people.
Yeah.
It's like a whole thing.
It's awesome.
Coaches are doing. Yeah, I remember like you couldn't even do the throat slash. Now
Well, you can't do it. You get flagged now. It's a point of emphasis. Some guy even got flagged for brandishing a weapon. He just lifted up his shirt.
just showing the piece.
But he didn't even have a piece. He didn't even fake a piece. He just lifted up the shirt to be like,
wow.
He should have protested today.
And we need to print out a copy of the United States Constitution for these people.
That's right.
What if he lifts up the shirt and he's got the Constitution?
Oh,
That's a good one.
he's like, I was brandishing the Constitution, sir.
But Bray, will you pull up just look up South Carolina football player gun celebration?
Yeah.
Okay. You got
Because it was so great, but it was at a very critical part of the game, and he was immediately penalized. But it was so great. He just tackles this person and then just boom, right in his face.
Yeah, what can he do that's machine gun mindset where he's not simulating shooting someone?
So that's why I'm saying this is the perfect Bo Bassett celebration. He'll never do it, you know.
I don't know.
He's too nice of a young man.
Sounds like you're challenging him. I don't know. We'll see. What other storylines other than we got a bunch of who's number one potential rematches? I know.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to bring that
Potential.
up because I know a lot of people enjoyed Who's Number One.
They did.
And I did too. And so if you guys liked Who's Number One, just check out for a second these potential rematches, and maybe you guys tell me your favorite. So 126, Anthony Knox, Aaron Seidel. Seidel was like 12 seconds away from getting it done against Knox last time. We could see that again. We could see Don Muneretto, Ignacio Villaseñor. That was 113. We could see Jax Forrest, Seth Mendoza, part 5 in a year. Why not? Who says no? We could see Sergio Vega, Drew Gorman, part 3. We could see Cade Ziola, Angelo Posada. Those are all potential Who's Number One rematches. And then we also got a few other Who's Number One guys in the mix. Melvin Miller's in there, Landon Robidoux, Maddox Shaw, Colin Guy. The last 3 are all in the same weight. So any Who's Number One matches you guys are most interested in?
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Well, to me, it's Knox Seidel. Knox going for his 3rd Super 32 title, and Seidel being so close to one of the bigger Who's Number One upsets really makes that match intriguing.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not counting Seidel out at all. I just want to watch Vega again. I mean, he was so fun to watch at Who's Number One, and just watching him through a tournament. He really impressed me a lot. So I just want to watch him go on a run here again.
I think it is a lot for a high school wrestler to train through Fargo, to train for Who's Number One, and then to come back and win at Super 32 and just, stay on that grind right before the season starts. And that's why not everybody does it. Not everybody should do it.
Yeah.
But Sergio Vega wants that belt bad. He was in the finals last year. You guys remember he beat Ben Davino in the semis, huge upset. And then he lost. So he wants it.
Can you remind me?
Bo Bassett.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He wants it bad. And so he's back, and could see Gorman again. He's got tough guys in there. Sam Herring, Elijah Cortez is on his side of the bracket. That's a probable semifinal. They trained together this week too. Daniel Zepeda let me know. So these guys aren't afraid to wrestle their competition in the room. They're just getting after it. But I mean, he could have a quarterfinal with a guy like Dalton Perry, who's really good. So it's gonna be no easy task for Sergio to win. But the way he's wrestling right now, and just the variety of ways that he has to score, I think he's the favorite. And I agree, he's so fun to watch. Kind of a revelation, because he's always been good, but he just seems like he's getting more and more solid as he gets a little older.
All right, Super 32 going to be amazing. Saturday, Sunday. We just gave you the rundown on the schedule, so make sure you're checking that out. You can watch every mat live on Flow.
Girls are only on Sunday.
Girls are Sunday only. Mm-hmm. Okay. Next up,
We got Missouri. We've been previewing one team per episode. Today, it's the Missouri Tigers. So
what's that guy that hates me that always trolls me about Missouri?
Wick Jacoby.
Wick Jacoby. What a lunatic. What is wrong with that guy? But he'll be happy about this because we're talking about the Tigers.
It depends on how you talk about him, probably.
Well, what's he want me to say?
He probably wants praise for the Missouri Tigers.
I will give.
He says, "Why does Piles hate Mizzou?"
I always give them praise, and yet it's not enough praise because he's unrealistic. But this could be a good team, solid team. I think a step back from last year's squad, which is losing. Their big loss is Elam. Who else graduated? Rocky's back. So big Zach Elam graduated. Clayton Whiting transferred out. Peyton Mako's gone. Who else? I think that's pretty. Oh, Brock Mahler, of course.
Of course.
Is also gone. So not quite the same squad, but still a really tough team. You want to go through it? Kind of who you got starting for the Tigers?
Yeah, here's how I kind of see their lineup looking. 125, Certain. 33, Cade Moore. 41, Josh Edmond. 49, Logan Joffrey. 57, James Conway. 65, Cam Steed. 74, Keegan O'Toole. 84, Hawks. 97, Elam. 285, Seth Nitzel.
So
Schnitzel.
probably a lot of qualifiers again. Keegan, title contender without a doubt. Rocky Elam, you say is a title contender, and AJ Ferrari is not. So I can only presume he will be wrestling in the finals. But Cam Steed is a big question for me. I was really high on him, and then he wasn't able to start last year because of just the construction of the Missouri lineup. He couldn't get past Mahler. I think he's going to have a good year. Noah Certain is one of those guys. If you look at his hit list, like he has beaten a lot of the top 5, top 8 guys. He's very much in the mix to place at 125 again. Can he put a tournament together, right? Can he stay healthy? Can Rocky Elam be healthy? Is another question. Because I feel like that is one big barrier for Rocky is his health. He missed a lot of time last year. They need him. If they want to contend for, top 6 or so, they probably need Rocky to finish really high on the podium. So that's good. Big question is, how much do we see Aiden Sinclair this year?
Yes.
Massive recruit, clearly ready to wrestle day one. Willie, I don't think so. I think the plan is to redshirt him. But spot start for Rocky, that would make sense to spell him a little bit. Do we see him a couple, even in some big duels at 84 that Rocky wrestles in? That might make a lot of sense. But I don't think we probably see much of Aiden this year. Or I don't think we see him ultimately starting, though it would be exciting. Now they're in the Big 12, which is a really tough. They always have a very tough schedule, or not always. They sometimes have a tough schedule, and I would expect them to have a good one this year. David loves this arm drag.
I do. Yeah, you brought up Aiden Sinclair, and it made me realize we just posted this yesterday because of a Super 32 moment from a year ago. But this is why you got to watch this guy this season. Look at this arm drag, unreal.
Crazy. He hits that drag on everyone. He hit it on Mirasola, who's number 1. He was hitting it at World Team Trials against, who was it? He lost the match, but he scored a bunch of points. Maybe Aiello.
Yeah.
And then he ends up losing. But man, he hits this drag on everyone, and it's like you can't see it coming. He hits it out of nowhere. Boom.
Yeah.
That's textbook.
Crazy.
It's not that easy to hit that on Ruin Lawrence.
Well, in that match, you should go back and watch the match because it was late. It was starting to feel like, man, is Ruin just too big and strong, and maybe Sinclair doesn't have a way to score, and he hit that in the third. It was great.
Dang. That was sick.
You don't want to watch him.
But yeah, I think Edmond and Joffrey are two guys that people have been excited for, and they've beaten some good guys over the years, but putting it together at NCAAs. Edmond's already ranked 9th to start the year. He's a big point scorer, but I can't forget his match against Titus, where he was on Titus's legs maybe 8 times, and he just could not figure out the finishes. If he's just 2 percentage points better there, I could see him on the podium for sure.
Here's my big question. Is Noah Certain rocking the neck brace?
Oh,
That's true.
Because that makes all the
it's a
difference.
Missouri tradition.
I know. Somebody has to be. Certain's been that man in the past, but he's also not been that man. If he's going neck brace,
You like that?
I like that.
That's what you're looking for.
I'm also curious about Cade Moore. I mean, he had a little bit of a tumultuous season for himself last year, but don't forget his hit list. He's got Sam Latona, and then not on his hit list, but an assassination attempt on Vito Arujau. It was a 10-9 match, and it seemed like he had it.
Oh, yeah.
So not a hit quite, but he tried. He gave his best effort, and he was right there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
He was on the rooftops.
Yeah.
Couldn't quite do it. Yeah, that was back when we were like, what is wrong with Vito?
Yes.
He was having all kinds of problems.
Yeah, so both of those matches, I mean, they do come with like a little bit of a caveat because Latona did not have his best year last year, and Vito was injured a lot of the time. But if his life is where it needs to be and he's locked in, I think he's a guy that can have a big improvement from last year.
Is he from Texas? Where's he from?
That's a great question. It's time for me to find out.
All right, we'll look that up. That's an important question. Any other thoughts on
Allen High School, Texas.
Thought so.
Yep.
Yeah.
Missouri's currently ranked 7th. What do you feel like their ceiling is?
7th.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to get much higher than that. I don't see a lot of guys with high point scoring other than Keegan. And Rocky, to me, is a big question. Like, he obviously can place really, really high at NCAAs, but
He's already getting 3rd place points in our projected rankings right now.
if you could like lock in 3rd place points for Rocky Elam, I think you would do it if you're Brian Smith secretly. Keegan could win, but he could also lose to Levi Haynes. We saw that happen. So I'd say 5th would be an amazing performance for Missouri this year.
Yeah.
It'd be a good job.
One of the things that maybe, I don't know, makes me a little nervous is it seems like for them to reach their absolute pinnacle performance, it might mean burning Sinclair's red shirt, and I don't know if they want to do that.
Well, it's tough because do you want to maximize your big guns together, right? This is Keegan's last year, so you could have Keegan and Aiden back to back 1 year. But for Aiden Sinclair, it's like, don't you want Parker Keckheisen, Carter Starachi, and Dustin? I mean, let's just be honest. The weight next year versus what it is this year, all 3 of those guys are gone.
Right now, here's the top 7. Carter Starachi, senior. Keckheisen, senior. Plott, senior. Munoz, 97-pounder. Nelson Brands, senior. That's the top 5. Bennett Berge is a sophomore. He's 6. And Edmund Ruth is a senior, and he's 7. So
It's him and Berge.
right.
Yeah. No, unbelievable. So I think pragmatically, if you're Aiden, if you're Brian Smith, it makes a lot of sense to redshirt. And yeah, you have Hawks who's going to qualify. He's been a solid guy. He's beaten All-Americans in the past, so he can win matches at NCAAs. Is he going to get you high up the rung? Probably not, but he's good enough.
It is wild though. We were talking about it before. Colton Hawks. He's been in a roster battle like every single year.
Every year, Sean Harmon. I mean, he got Clayton Whiting transferred as a result. So,
So if Sinclair's in, it's like, and you're Colton Hawks. You're like, man, every single year I'm going through this. But
Yeah.
we'll see.
I just drove the other guy out of town.
yeah, how many guys I got to run off here? Not running off Aiden Sinclair.
No.
He's the big dog there. Okay, so Coach Smith always puts a quality team on the mat. No different this year. Don't think they have the trophy potential they did last year, but we'll see. Playing here for the Tigers.
You brought up the David Taylor interview.
Oh, yeah.
What were your main takeaways from that?
For sure. A lot of good ones. Most interested in what he was talking about, his current training and like competition mindset. So he did affirm, he said, this for sure is my final competition. This will conclude my career without a doubt. He was not ambiguous there.
It's acting like Brett Favre up there.
No, he had one unretirement. Brett did it every offseason for a long time.
Well, he hasn't even had one off season yet after coaching.
Yeah, so he'll be done after this.
I do believe him, but I will say that holds less weight when you just said you were done competing
Yeah.
4 months ago.
It doesn't make sense for him to compete beyond this, in my opinion.
I agree.
So I think he will be done. But he talked about, and I thought this was the most interesting thing, the difference in training. And basically, let's go back to like March, April of this year. What was the narrative around what David was going to do? He was going to make the team, win the Olympics, and then he was going to transition up to 92 for a couple of years and then, sort of reevaluate. Like, he was thinking years down the line in all likelihood, right? He just signed with Nike Wrestling. He was not going to be done in 2024. That was not the plan on paper. And so he talks about his training. He was thinking very long term, and he was really almost limiting how much he was training because he knows he wants to have longevity in his career. So he was kind of like almost laying off. And I think he attributes that with kind of biting him in the Brooks matchup. Like, I wasn't really training much. He said it without saying it, like I was training with like long-term goals in mind, trying to have longevity in his career, and it cost him. But sounds like he got to Oklahoma State and just started training like a madman again, training hard, wrestling all the time. And he's kind of basically selling out for trials in these worlds, knowing that like this is it and getting the max out of himself. So I feel like we are going to see a really good David Taylor come Worlds. He also did confirm he is wrestling at the World Championships. I know he kind of left it sort of ambiguous after trials, and we all kind of knew he's going to go, and he is going. And so I think we're going to see an optimized David Taylor, because think about the last few years of his competition. You know, he's doing he was like doing Final X and Worlds and winning. And so he's probably seeing like, all right, how much can I toy with this training competition schedule and still be good? And I think it maybe caught up with him a little bit. That and the weight cut caught up with him with Olympic trials. So now you're having a locked in, sold out David Taylor, who's got this new juice, right, from being around this team. And he talked about, and this is something we talked about day one when we heard he's going to wrestle. Like, this makes a lot of sense, because now this team is going to see like what it actually looks like to train at the highest possible level. That's what Penn State has right now. Everywhere you turn 90 degrees, you're going to see someone that's a world champion level wrestler training at that level. Oklahoma State doesn't have that right now. And David is, you know, sort of that example for the team for this little bit. And so I think I think we're going to see a really, really good David Taylor. He talked about this being the toughest bracket he's ever been in, with Sadulayev and Gassimpur both in there and a couple other credentialed guys. So I feel super confident that it's going to be like a really high level version of David Taylor at 92 in Albania in just a couple weeks. He's just a couple weeks away from that. So those were the main things, like the training aspect. He said it without saying it, like he's really turned up his training from where it was. And this could be his last competition.
I'm guessing he got a new hunger after losing to Brooks.
Yeah.
And a change of scenery, location. Not that you can't stay motivated in the same place forever, but no doubt it's probably harder. You've been doing pretty much the exact same thing for the past however many years, and now you change that up. It can light a fire underneath you a little bit.
One of the things about the training, when he was talking about the training, that I found really interesting was, I guess, I don't think this was like a response to criticism that he received, but if you heard, Oklahoma State naysayers, they would say, "Oh man, David Taylor wrestling in the World Team trials is like a selfish thing. It's like it's a distraction from his coaching responsibilities." And I loved his perspective that when he and Thomas Gilman, were especially those two, when they were looking around the room, it's like, man, these guys know how to train hard, but there's another level that they have never seen. Like they haven't been exposed to yet. And so that was, I think it started as like this selfless coaching act of, we have to put our bodies through the type of training that it takes to be the best in the world. They've both done that. We got to put ourselves through that so they can observe it, so they can, mimic that. And they have to see it to be able to do it. And that's how it started, was as, who else can show them this but us? And then in that process of like demonstrating it, the fire was kind of rekindled. So to me, that was a cool thing, because I didn't, you don't know. You're like, man, is this a selfish decision? Is this just a personal thing? I wish I was, wish I wasn't retired and I wish I was still competing. It's like, no, it didn't start that way. Absolutely started as we got to put our comfort aside to show it to these guys, and just having some pretty cool byproducts.
Yeah, I think 100%. And if you don't think that's being used as like recruiting fodder against Oklahoma State, you're crazy. It's absolutely happening. So David honestly is wrestling with that added pressure, but you could also say added motivation. Like everyone's, if he did poorly at trials, everyone would be like, man, he's not locked in here, he's not locked in there, and he's not even wrestling well. Similarly, but if you go out and you beat Sadulayev and Gassimpur, it's like, what can you even say? It's like he went out and he did it. He beat the greatest wrestler of a generation, maybe of all time. It's the ultimate stamp on his career, and now he can say, hey, this was something for the team to observe and something for me to accomplish, and now I can move on and dive in fully. I mean, it's not like this isn't the only year he's going to coach wrestling. This isn't the only year he's going to be recruiting. Like, this is a long-term play for the team, and he's trying to establish a culture there, right? And it's a different culture. Invariably, anytime you have turnover, like, things are going to change. And so I think he's trying to establish it his way, and this is the way he thought he could do it best. And I think it makes a ton of sense. I think it's smart.
Yeah, and then like the parallels between him and John Smith are just so interesting for Oklahoma State fans. That like John Smith lore is huge. In his first year coaching, he was competing, and now David Taylor's doing the same thing, which I don't think that was like part of the plan, but it's pretty cool, pretty cool symmetry.
Maybe David said it, like David did say it, like the administration actually didn't realize that he was retired. He said they fully expected him to continue competing, which is interesting to me, because it was, everyone, when he took the job, assumed it meant it was over, but not over, at least not for a couple more weeks, which, man, what a interesting, exciting conclusion we're going to have for his career.
My biggest takeaway, back to one Bedlam.
One Bedlam.
The way it should be.
Yeah.
All the marbles.
Yeah, I mean, why I don't understand why they were doing it twice. David kind of like used it as a little dig at Oklahoma, which, you got to do if you're the coach of Oklahoma State.
The digs are funny, because I feel like those are things that take some coaches some years to get, to get the digs just right, but he's already good at it. He's like, he talked about, hey, if you guys are upset the schedule's not out, hey, there's some hard people to work with, difficult, like he's just already kind of, I love it. I love that stuff when the coaches like just throw a little shade, not too much.
And he's also like, he said that about scheduling. He's like, I didn't realize you could just kind of do whatever you wanted with scheduling.
And people trying to like pull one over on him. He said like other coaches will be like, oh no, like this is how we do it. And he's like, nope, it's not. That's not how we do it.
Yeah, they're going to CKLV again, which is exciting to see that team there. Cliff Keen's going to be an incredible tournament yet again. Okay, so I think that was the main things. This thing just popped. It actually, it got on my radar because of this, like, these ridiculous, essentially sports. I don't even know if it's like a troll farm or like what it is. It's not a legitimate.
It's got an AI feel to me.
They may win an NWMA award. It's possible. You can't rule that out, but I don't think they will. But they may be front runners. But they basically sensationalized this 30-minute rotary talk. And tried to slant it as like a dig against Penn State. That's how it got on my radar. But yeah, I don't know why I brought that up.
And the one thing we haven't talked about is that that RTC conversation that David brought up. That's probably where that came from.
Yeah, because there was a question about RTCs, and like these were just like basically like Oklahoma State fans trying to learn more about the wrestling landscape. And he's like, "What is an RTC? How many teams have them?" He's like, "Well, everyone has one. The best one is Nittany Lion, where I was. They've had some fallout." And they like really hammered in on that line of him saying there was fallout there, but like it wasn't, I didn't look at it as a dig at all against Penn State. It's just, you lost David Taylor, Thomas Gilman, Jason Nolf, Roman Bravo Young, who are active competitors. And then, Jimmy Kennedy left. So, I mean, it's fallout or whatever you want to call it. They're still the top dog by far. And David is basically saying that and saying we need to build that here. Mm-hmm. So he thinks that's really important. But yeah, and then he talked about Cliff Keen Wrestling Club. He gave credit to a couple of the ones that are like Spartan.
Penn.
They're doing a good job. Penn, for sure, doing a good job. Although Penn, a lot of turnover there.
I think he even kind of used like a past tense language about them.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, for sure. But anything else?
I just love hearing how excited he is about a potential bracket that includes Gassimpur and Sadulayev. Like, you remember that Johnny DeJulius like thing that we put up a while back, where he's like telling these kids like, most of you want to win more than you want to actually compete.
Yeah.
And if you went out there and they said that your opponent was not there and you got a forfeit, you would be excited because you're getting your hand raised.
Yeah.
David Taylor is the opposite. He's like, I've been wanting to wrestle Sadulayev forever. He's been considered pound for pound number one for a decade, and I've wanted that match. Thought it would never happen because I wasn't going up, he wasn't going down. If we could meet in the middle somehow, it'd be great. But come on, how realistic is that? And now it's going to happen. And I mean, I get the same sense from Sadulayev. These guys aren't running from each other. It's like it's this competitiveness that very few people on this planet can understand.
Yeah,
all-time legend stuff.
Yeah, it really is. And he talked about just like how crazy it is, the things that had to happen to make this match a possibility. The stupid war you know, has to happen for Sadulaev to not be the 97 kilogram Olympian to make him eligible to wrestle here. He has to lose to Aaron Brooks and that, you know, go back to a singlet pull to make that match possible. All this craziness. And then, you know, he gets this job and it's like, is he really going to, you know, and then, yeah, that it's happening is insane. You know what's interesting? You can look at this two ways. Abakarov's there, and everyone's thinking that's like, oh, he's there for training with Roman. This guy's from Dagestan. Sadulaev's from Dagestan. Now, could work two ways. You could say, oh, is he giving him a little information, a little this, that? Like, they're not from the same club or anything like that. They don't have like a tight connection like he and Tazudinov did. But, you know, the information can flow different directions. The Russians are known for their espionage. So the wrestlers have no issue being paranoid.
Yeah.
But, you know, let's make sure we're not giving away any secrets back to Abdul Rashid.
Some other changes coming to college wrestling. NLI no longer exists.
Yeah. Not NIL.
Not NIL. NIL still very much exists, but the National Letter of Intent, which is the thing every high schooler who goes on scholarship signs, that is the contract, no longer exists. That was shut down by the NCAA and their settlement because of revenue sharing yesterday. But personally, I don't think it's really going to change for wrestling that much because financial aid agreements still exist, which are basically just taking the place of an NLI.
Yeah, it sounds like I reached out to some people, and it sounds like not a material change to what was already happening. So not a big deal.
I mean, the big victim here is Nomad because
big signing day guy
lives for signing
This is
day.
gutting.
This is not good because signing day has got to be his quote tweet
Christmas.
numbers go nuts.
Yeah.
He's quote tweeting everybody.
Quote tweeting, retweeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just everybody. So my heart does go out to him.
Yeah, your heart goes out to Nomad.
But other than that, it's going to be, not a huge difference maker.
Hey, big circle back here. Michael Mako at heavyweight.
Yes.
Can he win this?
Yes.
Oh,
all right.
boy.
Let me tell you that.
That's
Yeah,
gonna be fire.
I put Michael Mako in the dock because Michael Mako, since the day he was born, he was destined. He was destined to be a heavyweight champion. Last year, he was 215 at Super 32. He made the finals. He lost to Anthony Harris in the finals, and he didn't get it done. Then continued to wrestle 215 throughout the year. Was 110 kilos for U17s, world champ. So that's still under 285. And now he's making the move up. He's a full-on heavyweight, and he's the number 2 seed. Which, where is he seated? Let me see if I put that in there. Trying to remember. I think he may be the 1 seed, but I believe that the two most likely opponents for him in the semis, he's already beaten twice this year. So you can't pencil him into the finals, but heavyweight is one of the weights with like fewer ranked wrestlers. He's probably not going to have a true test until the semis. He's beaten those guys. So I think he'll be in the finals. And if he is, the guy he's seeded to see is Rocco Delagata. He's a Cornell commit, was a Fargo champ this year, but he's another heavyweight who's not a huge guy. He's got a really, really good gas tank, but I think, skill wise, you'd probably lean Mako. So he's got a real chance to win this thing at heavyweight. And
That would be a huge breakout tournament for sure.
start fulfilling that heavyweight destiny.
Yes, that's great.
Then hit the Macarena after you win.
He could.
Yeah.
That is stealing. That would be stolen valor from his brother, his younger brother. But I would like to see it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. So tune in for that. I'm excited to watch Michael. I feel like he made a huge jump in the last 4 or 5 months.
Yeah.
You see some of that in high school. So excited to watch that. Do we want to do questions? Is it question time?
Let's get to questions.
D-Bray's got those covered.
All right, I got them. And the first one is up on the screen, and I don't even know for sure if I have the best answer here. But Virginia's for FRL wants to know who was P4P best Super 32 champ of all time.
Does he mean the best high school wrestler of all time who also competed in Super 32, or like the best run?
No,
the
I think
best
he means
tournament.
who's the best guy that won Super 32 is how I take it.
Basically.
So I would say Kyle Snyder. I would say David Taylor. Probably the two that come to mind. At the time, who was it feels like Snyder was the closest to world class at that point in time. He was like, basically a senior level guy doing junior level stuff. So probably Kyle. He dominated Thomas Haynes there. I remember for David, the big story was, whoa, David Taylor's up at 135 now. Because he had been like a career 103, 112 pounder. And then his senior year, he's like, I'm going 135. And so he got big, and it was kind of this run. He beat like Josh Kindig, I think, in the finals. And that was, the big story for that year, Super 32. So I would say Taylor or Snyder are the two best that have won Super 32. Spencer Lee obviously won it, and his story's still being written.
That's right. The rest is still unwritten.
The rest is still unwritten.
Yep.
He's standing in the open something before you.
Any others? I think that's probably good.
Those are the big three. I mean, Vito, I don't know if he won Super 32. He lost to Nick Suriano.
Mm-hmm.
Who has the most Super 32 titles?
Nobody has 4. There are a few guys with 3. I think Braxton Amos.
Yanni has 3.
Yanni, Braxton Amos. Nick Bouzakis has 3. Who else?
Knox has 2 going for 3.
Same with Bassett. He's got 2 going for 3.
So Bassett could win 4.
He could. Yep. He got 5 cracks at it. He did middle school, so that helps him.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Like he got a middle school one, or he did high school?
He wrestled he made the finals in 8th grade, lost to Knox.
That's right.
Came back as a freshman, beat Knox. And that's the crazy thing too. I was thinking of this when we were talking about Bassett and Zepeda. Bassett has been in some of these crazy rivalries. The Knox Bassett rivalry was so fun, incredible. And then now the Zepeda one. So who else has been? I don't know. That whole,
You could probably go back in
There's
the early days of Super 32.
that whole Spencer, Suriano, Fix, Yanni, all those type of guys were.
Yeah.
Crookham hadn't gotten injured in high school. He could have,
Bouzakis.
because he won it in 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
But didn't wrestle in it every year.
Yeah. This next question is not a question, but it is from a friend.
Yeah.
But it's just a suggestion. This is also a suggestion from a friend. Taped Laces wants to suggest that social studies with Spay should be called Spayed and Tutored.
This is great. I feel like the big question was, what do we call the segment that Spay does where he like zooms in on Google Maps and stuff? But now I feel like the segment is becoming what we named the segment.
Yep.
Because we had Spaleontology. Now we have Spayed and Tutored.
Mm-hmm.
We had Spatial Education.
Mm-hmm.
There's one other really good one. Dang it, I already forgot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love Spayed and Tutored. And Spay's like just wants Bob Barker to introduce the segment, and then we'd be money.
That's an easy ask.
That's an easy ask.
Yeah.
Tough answer.
Yeah.
The answer's tougher now than ever.
So yeah, just a suggestion.
I think keep these coming.
Yep. Thank you, Taped Laces. Slink.
Oh, Spalian Hour. That's what.
Oh
that
yeah,
was the other one.
Spalian Hour. Yep. Slink, frequent question asker, and I have
I love this one.
I do love it. My answer came to me quickly, but which of these would have shocked you the most if I told you last October? Lemley over Woods, 14-2.
Pinned him.
Someone who was 5-5 at one point would win NCAAs. Keegan O'Toole Carr, same side of the bracket. Vito would be the 6-seeded NCAAs. Ryder Downey, the 5-seeded NCAAs. Did one jump out at you?
Man.
To me, it's either someone who was 5-5 at one point, won NCAAs.
Yeah.
Or
Vito.
Ryder Downey as the 5 seed.
No, Vito as the
Vito,
6.
yes. Vito as the 6 was the one.
That's crazy.
I saw Vito have up and down years, though.
But not after
I know after he won Worlds. I know.
He dominated everyone.
He beat Dayton and RBY, and then he won Worlds. I was like,
no way. I think Vito the 6 or 5-5 are the two biggest ones.
even if
you get some every year, there's like a 4 or 5 seed that's like Christian Boley was like the 3 or 4 one year. It's like, what is happening? So you get some ones that are like, oh, that's kind of surprising. But Vito the 6 and a 5-5 winning NCAAs.
even if you would have told me that like Vito is going to lose in November, just that I would have been. I would think would have been pretty shocked.
Like how?
Probably the least surprising to me is Carr O'Toole, same side of the bracket, because we knew they were going to run into each other.
Yeah.
So it's like one of them is going to have losses.
That was definitely the least surprising. I would say another thing that's not on here even though we knew they were going to win big, Penn State winning by 100 points. I would say, come on. 100?
Yeah.
100. I don't think so. So I would put that as addition. But yeah, a lot of shocking things happened to NCAAs. I'm trying to think if there are other ones.
Would you have been surprised to hear Cornell second? They were second last year?
Yeah.
Would you? I think I would have been a little surprised to hear that.
I would. Well, we kind of the whole year were saying wide open team race second on. So I'll say no, because I was a big Meyer guy, Vito obviously. So no, probably not.
I think after Younger posted the Grim Reaper, I would have been surprised to find out he didn't place.
100%. He was just eating his way. Yeah, he only had one guy left to kill, and then he forgot. That was a bummer. I was really excited for Kurt Fleet versus Greg.
Yeah.
I mean,
It still hurts. It still hurts JD to this day.
Yeah.
He's got
it hurts you.
He's got the 1,000-yard stare.
Hurts me
That's what
more
I'm
than
saying.
you know.
Yeah. So, all right, let's see what else we got here. Kevin Mulder says that you guys used to review old movies, going with the arm wrestling theme. I'm sure Shane would love Over the Top with Stallone. Have any of you seen it? Also, we haven't heard from Shane in a long time. So, two-part question. Where's Shane?
Shane's around. We text frequently, mostly to argue. I think Shane is in multiple text groups where people just argue with him, and I like to participate in that as well because he loves it. He loves it so much. I have not seen Over the Top. I'm aware that it is an arm wrestling movie, and he turns his hat backwards, and it's like a switch, and that helps him be better at arm wrestling. So I feel like I've watched it.
Okay.
That way.
No, you got to see it. There's some
Really
incredible subplots. It's been a long time, so I'm trying to remember the exact storylines. But he's like a single father truck driver, and I think his very underage son ends up driving the truck at some point, like totally unassisted, which is great. You got to love any film that's. I mean, just imagine Caleb in a big rig.
I had the worst dream last night about almost this. It's so funny you're bringing this up because I didn't know what Over the Top was about other than arm wrestling. But Katie and I got in the worst fight because something was happening with youth group, and Caleb was going to be driving picking kids up from the airport and driving them around, like this 13-year-old Caleb. And Katie was 100% fine with it. I was like, he doesn't know how to drive. He's getting this. She's like, she was adamant that he has to learn sometime. I was like, this is not how you learn. And I was like, I woke up at 3:30, just angry. I was like, oh my gosh. I was in disbelief that I was having to defend this position, but thankfully it was a dream. But yeah, I couldn't imagine my son driving a big rig. It's even scarier.
Yeah.
Although it's a lot safer for you as the person in the big rig.
That's true.
It's big.
Yeah. Yeah. We got a little bit of an audible question in the chat.
Oh.
Is whoever gets ranked number 1 at 125 still contractually obligated to lose in the next week?
So I did a video about this 125. It'll be coming soon. And I went and recounted all the there were 8 different number ones last year. 5 of them did not place, which is insane. 5 of the 8 number ones DNPing, including the number 1 seed, Braden Davis. Yeah, that was basically how it was happening. I don't know if it'll happen again, but I do expect it to be. It probably can't be as chaotic, but it's going to be really close.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel the same way.
Yeah, it's going to be basically the same as last year.
We've got a question from Dominic Montano. This is, you were talking about your dream earlier. This is maybe a little bit of a dream scenario, but would it be beneficial for wrestling if there was a college freestyle season that took place during the dog days of summer, like indoor and outdoor track? Most wrestlers are training freestyle during that time anyways. Yeah, what do you think?
Be beneficial for wrestling. I think it'd be great. Anytime you keep the season going, it's good. I don't think it's realistic from an NCAA perspective, but yeah, I'd love to see it.
The thing go ahead, JD.
Well, I was just going to say also, a lot of these guys need time off to, yeah, they're training freestyle, but there's a big difference between, going to practice in the off season versus the grind of a full season. So I think you need an off season.
These guys need to get to Lake Okoboji.
That's right.
Have some fun times. Am I right?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. You can't take away. Dominic Montano's never been to Lake Okoboji, and it shows.
It does kind of show. But I would say, on the one hand, this question is like asking somebody, like, would it be beneficial if I gave you $100,000?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it'd be great.
I do think it would be good.
Probably not going to happen. But I do like this spin on the question more than freestyle or folk style for NCAA. It's like, well, if there was a way to do both, how great. It'd be so cool.
It'd be great.
And we kind of also do have not a season, but, we have the U.S. Open and Final X and Trials and World Championships.
But a Penn State fan can't roll up to Rec Hall and watch it in a Penn State uniform against, the Hawkeyes like they can.
Correct.
That would be a game changer.
Yeah.
Be a total game changer. Would love it. Don't see a path forward for it, but you know what? We're open to suggestions. Be great.
Yeah.
Ball's in your court, and
We'll run it up the flag.
I think the ball is in Dominic Montano's court.
Yeah.
On this one.
Get this handle, Dom.
Let's see. Jason House.
I didn't understand this. I didn't put this in the thing because I didn't understand it.
Yeah, so what if the coaches in the corner have a headset on for throwing bricks like they have in the NFL and MLB? Do you think it'd be better or worse?
Does that mean like someone being like, challenge this or don't challenge?
Yeah, I assume somebody who has replay available to them immediately and can say, hey, you should challenge here.
Okay, yeah, I guess they would be.
Yeah. I mean, I think
Some of these coaches can't be worse.
True.
it really comes down to who is on the other end of that headset because, yeah, like we've seen notoriously successful challengers and unsuccessful challengers. Some
You know
coaches,
who you are.
You know who you are. So who you got on the other end of the headset, that's what's going to matter.
Yeah.
Because these NFL and MLB teams, they're working with slightly better budgets to have people watching that stuff than us. But
Do you know college football now allows for coach to quarterback communication in the helmet?
Yeah.
So you can have a little speaker. It doesn't exactly translate to wrestling because you can just yell and they can
That's
hear
true.
you.
But imagine if they couldn't hear you go.
You whisper.
Single leg.
Yeah.
Should sweep. Cool.
we got another question here from Lieutenant Jersey Jerry's Army. I didn't know he had an army, but this is his lieutenants.
Is it well regulated?
Writing in.
militia?
I don't know. But he asked, what percent would you put the chances for DT and Oak State to finish top 2 at NCAA's in year 1?
I'd say 25%.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. I think that's a pretty good shot. They're squarely behind Iowa right now. Mm-hmm. Iowa plucked 2 number ones, put them on their team. They've got some good guys coming back. They're going to be. I mean, Iowa's not that far behind Penn State. I know in the mindset of wrestling fans, you're not really giving them much of a shot. But when you throw in Parco, Teamer, and Buchanan, 2 number ones and a 3 or 4 time All-American, it's got a good shot at. That's gonna be tough for Oklahoma State to run down. They need Wyatt to win. They need Hamady to be top 3 in a really tough way. They need Plott to be in the finals again. They need Cam to be back to top 4 kind of guy. Plus Spratley maybe in the finals. That's probably what it's gonna take to be in the top 2, and that's just a lot of things that have to converge.
Do they have same probably percentage chance of winning the duel or a better percentage chance?
I feel like you always have a better chance in the duel. Mm-hmm. I feel it almost, if there's 2 teams and one is definitely better, it's almost always that you have a better shot in the duel meet because then it's just one match. So yeah, they have a better shot in the duel for sure. I mean, Oklahoma State could win 25 without a doubt. I mean, they'll be huge favorites at 25 with Drake moving up. 41, they'll be favored. Tegan's favored over Ryder Block at this point. 49, Iowa. 57, Iowa. 65, Cam and Caliendo. I think that's basically a coin flip. Definitely winnable. 74, Dean, definitely probably a favorite over whoever they put out there. 84, Plott's favored. 97, Iowa's favored. And heavyweight, Oklahoma State's favorite. So that's 6. So they got a great shot in the duel. But yeah. What's interesting is this Iowa thing now with 84. This could be a mess, guys. I poo-pooed this. Nelson at 74. He came on this very show and told you to your face online he's going 74. I said, no, this doesn't make sense. He's going after this 174 spot. And I think he's certified there. I think he's weighing light. I think there's going to be a wrestle off against Gabe Arnold. And my reasoning was, well, it just, why did you redshirt Gabe Arnold? He was clearly your number one guy. Now, if you're saying, okay, he's going to go wrestle off, Nelson's going to wrestle off and then go up to 84, okay. But now Gabe did not want to go 84 last year. He was your best 184 by far a year ago. Now you have like Angelo Ferrari's there. So I just don't understand it from a last year perspective, why now we're wrestling off for this weight.
Well, Nelson getting another year wasn't guaranteed for a lot of the season last year, was it?
No.
So that may have had something to do with it.
Maybe.
And at one point he thought he was done.
Well, but it was sort of known I don't know. It felt like to me, everyone kind of knew he was going to get this year, right? With the medical. We knew he was out with the suspension, and he held out hope that he would get to come back. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll work out great, and Gabe will go 84, or Nelson will bulk up and go there. But like for one of those guys, it's pretty clear they both have their eyes set on 174, and making that transition up a weight, that's gonna be tough. Maybe we do see Angelo year one. The Ferraris are notorious like not wanting to redshirt guys, but it creates a lot. I mean, then you're looking at Nelson or Gabe and Kennedy all on the, two of them on the bench. I don't know. It's weird. They've got a really, really good team. That's obvious. I don't understand Nelson at 174 when you just redshirted Gabe Arnold when he was your best guy at 2 different weight classes last year. And he would have helped that team last year in the lineup. So I didn't understand that. And now what if he's on the bench and you wasted his year?
Yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
That's the last question I have.
That's the last question. I hope I'm not. I want to be asking the right questions.
Yeah, I got one. Mm-hmm. This one's from Jared Ball. Which approach to being recruited do you find more compelling, Blaze or Bassett?
Man, I kind of love them both a lot. I just think I like them both because they're both really true to who they are. Like Blaze is just a low-key guy, and he is just super low-key on this. You hear murmurs and things, and you have people who come up to me that say they talk to grandparents at Penn State and that he's going to Penn State, but that was in April.
He did come out with a top 10.
Yeah,
a while back,
something like that, top 5 maybe. And he talked to Kozak about it in an interview, and maybe Zeb, I can't recall. But yeah, he's just real low key. I love the Bo Bassett thing. I mean, I really do. I think it's really cool. Nothing I think is distasteful. I feel like college football gets a little grimier, but I like how Ben's doing. What's more compelling? I think probably Bo Bassett.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the audience. Like if you're on social media, the Bo Bassett talk is rampant. But if you're on some of these teams' message boards, they're talking about Marcus Blaze as much as they're talking about Bo. So I think it depends on which conversations you're part of.
I don't get to see a team lopped off every week with Marcus Blaze.
Right.
That is true.
Yeah, it was Air Force this week. We haven't mentioned it.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
They got voted off the island. There's only, 15, 14 left?
Down to 15.
15, their final 15.
Yeah. The interesting thing about just Marcus Blaze, thinking about his recruiting, there's still a lot of places he could go. Who knows? But 2 of the programs that are talking a whole lot about him are Penn State and Oklahoma State. And
Oklahoma State.
They're talking about it. They're thinking about it. If David Taylor does end up landing him, that feels like just not necessarily like another kind of notch in his belt in the goal to like chase Cale and Penn State, but maybe a little bit, because I think Penn State fans are really thinking he's going to end up there. That'd be crazy, huge if he ended up at Oklahoma State.
That would be huge. I'd be shocked.
Wherever he ends up is going to be huge, but
yeah,
man, who knows? Do
you have any thoughts? Do you have a guess?
I mean,
do you have a guess on the timing?
If it hasn't already happened
anymore.
If it hasn't already happened, why will it happen before, before next summer or fall? I don't know. One thing I can't get out of my head is that last spring, when I was in Colorado Springs for the Senior World Team Camp, David Taylor, I had interviewed all the senior world team members except for David Taylor, and it's just kind of waiting around. You know, he was just sitting on the wall talking with Marcus Blaze, and this is before David Taylor had any recruiting interest whatsoever.
The year before the Olympics.
The year before the Olympics, 2023 Worlds, you know, and David was coaching M2. He wasn't recruiting anybody, and you know, he and Marcus sat and had a really long conversation, not for any reason other than they just whatever, they liked the conversation, and I don't know, I've never been able to get that out of my head. That who knows, maybe there's a little connection there. I don't know.
That's interesting.
But I don't know. It feels like Penn State is probably a front runner, but
Seems Penn State or Ohio State is what I've thought. You know, Oklahoma State is. Did he ever even visit?
I don't know.
I think he didn't, or he wasn't initially on their list until David came on.
Yeah.
Yeah, gonna be. Yeah, can't wait to see where he goes. When's Bo gonna decide? I mean, is it gonna be like a year from now?
I think it'll be. My guess would be like mid to late spring. I think he wants to do a lot of visits, and I think he's got a limited number of weekends before the high school season starts. So we're talking with them at Who's Number One, and it sounds like they're going to take some visits in the fall, like November, and then they're going to have to schedule some visits for like maybe 1 or 2 in January after the big national high school tournaments are over and before like the PIAA postseason stuff starts, and then probably even some after the season in March. So
Okay.
I think it'll be, I would guess maybe like April.
He's going to have to stretch out his content plan.
What if he puts some schools back on?
That's what
know.
that's what we need.
Yeah. Resurrect a couple.
Whose idea was that? Someone that works here that's
Spade.
a wrestling person. Oh,
Oh, to add them back on or to
to add them back on.
It's probably Leanza. We got a whole.
Yeah.
Lance is
We got a
most
Bull
invested.
Bassett fan club.
Yes,
Yeah,
we do.
There's people that work here that don't really know much about wrestling that are glued every week. Like who'd Bo vote off?
And they know it's Wednesday morning. Like
Yeah.
they know the timing. They know that, and that is a successful content plan. When
Yes.
you know, people know it's Wednesday. It's it's Bo Bassett Update Day.
I don't think they're subscribed to the email list yet.
No.
To the newsletter.
They've got us. We kind of regurgitate the
Yeah.
email.
But we've got a question in the chat. Is Flow hiring?
Always.
Yeah, come on.
Flow Sports, yeah.
Those sports.
We're looking for I've got the page pulled up right here. We're looking for a European correspondent for Flow Track. So
Okay.
if you live in Europe and you're a track enthusiast, that'd be good.
We just filled the CFO role, I believe.
Yes. So
if you were gonna want to be the CFO, I'm sorry.
we've got a couple
missed your shot.
couple Flow grappling roles. If you're a grappler.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yep.
The great Corey Stockton, black belt, Professor Corey. Mm-hmm. He is now the head coach at Paragon. We miss him. We miss him greatly, but he's going to kill it at Paragon.
I also see that there is an open application for general interest application. So,
Yeah, general. That's always there in case you just want to throw your hat in the ring. Like I think Mark always says like how many people apply every year. It's like 10,000 or some stupid number of people apply. So it's very competitive. It's not easy to get
Now,
in.
is that interested in general information or interest in like war generals?
it
could be.
is I think it is a military.
Is it a military?
Yeah, we have a military vertical that does. We live stream Civil War reenactments.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, there's lots of jobs. Lots of jobs. So go ahead, check it out. But unfortunately, wrestling, no jobs open at the moment.
No jobs.
But maybe we get a Flow Wrestling jobs program. I don't know.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you're tuning in this weekend for Super 32. We got boys on the ground there. I think we have some NC State coverage
And North Carolina.
Okay, so stay tuned for that. Andy Hamilton is on the ground. I didn't want to talk about it, but he's got a little maybe intel. But I wanted to wait till next week to make sure it's like good to be talked about. So that's called a tease. We'll be back Monday, no doubt about it. Plenty of Super 32 to talk about, among other things. For JD Rader and David Bray, I'm Christian Piles. Thanks so much. See you Monday. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.